Can you lay down comfortably with your transcranial photobiomodulation device? And what possible difference can that make? Just want to point out, why did we design the Pro Neuralite wrap technology the way we did? Well, because it's important for brain health. Maybe more important, I want to point out a little bit about the glymphatic system. This is the brain's detox system. It's fluid that floats around and inside the brain that has so many important functions. I'm going to talk about that in a second. Now, the functions of the glymphatic system are really just becoming discovered. There's a transport function in which the glymphatic system carries nutrients to the whole brain, including glucose, lipids, amino acids, and so many other biochemicals. Clearance function, which flushes out extracellular metabolites or waste products, lactate that builds up from just mental activity, proteins like amyloid beta plaque and tau proteins, and other foreign bodies from the brain tissue into the CSF and out of the brain. And also the potential immune function by convening all these tissues and cells, immune cells. The meningeal lymphatics can provide immune surveillance and export toxic antigens and immune cells from the brain. I just want to show this point of the movement of the CSF. This cerebrospinal fluid is able to move around the brain like another circulatory system, but really it's moving in and out of the brain. We can see in this part down here, this is the part that we're going to look at, examine right now, is this fluid. You can see it just moves around the brain, and it's extremely important for our brain health. The study actually is upright versus supine, laying down, MRI, effects of body position on cranial cervical CSF flow. And we want to look at it upright versus supine transcranial photobiomodulation effects on CSF flow, cerebrospinal fluid flow. So they did 30 people, young people, sitting them up or laying them down, and they measured right here how much fluid was flowing in and out of their brain. So the upright posture, and the supine posture, and see how much fluid did we release. One of the things that we realized is that the cardiac cycle, or each heartbeat, as you can see here in red, has effect on CSF flow, which we can see here in green. These are modulators of glymphatic function. And let's just take a look here. The body position significantly affects cerebrospinal fluid flow in and out of the cranium, and more CSF oscillating in the supine position, laying down, compared to sitting up. Moving from upright to supine position increases the cerebrospinal fluid stroke volume per cardiac cycle, the diastolic CSF velocity, and the systolic phase duration, resulting in a greater total amount of cerebrospinal fluid exchange. Spending more time in the supine position, such as in sleep, may enhance the waste clearance through increased CSF circulation. So it's very important when we're looking at this thing that the heartbeat and how that moves the CSF fluid, and then how body position affects it. If you pay attention to this study, you realize that in diastole, supine, laying down, we have 63% more fluid volume being displaced in just diastole, the relaxation part, and that's moving towards the head, and 47% more in systole when it contracts. So if you're laying down, you're moving more than 100% more CSF flow than if you're sitting up. And if you add to that, you're doing transcranial photobiomodulation, you're really exponentially moving the CSF fluid if you can do the transcranial photobiomodulation, supine, or laying down. There really doesn't seem to be any devices besides the proneural light device that you can wear in a supine position. So 1, 2, 3, 4 proneural light pads that we could put on to enhance the flow of CSF fluid supine while we're doing the photobiomodulation. Really can't do it with this device. So you reduce the CSF flow by 100% by doing it when you're standing. And this device, I don't think you can do anything with this device for $3,000. I don't think you can lay down with this thing on. And if you add the intranasal piece, these are untouched photos, you can see you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 areas of photobiomodulation, the bundle of 5, that really gives you maximum ability to put transcranial light onto the brain. And doing it in the supine position allows you to maximize the natural flow of cerebral spinal fluid in supine when you're laying down. Look at it again. The pump it, the fluid is flowing, and we're enhancing this with photobiomodulation just to show you the velocity is much greater in the supine position. The flow is quicker. And the stroke volume, the amount of CSF that's pushed, is greater in the supine position. And each hour that you do it, there's a cumulative effect. And then the whole thing that the volume is greater and the velocity is greater, so you have more fluid moved faster in the supine position, laying on your back. And if you added the photobiomodulation to it, you're enhancing this cycle of CSF movement. So to maximize CSF flow, lymphatic flow, you need to do supine transcranial photobiomodulation.